Of all the weekends for me to be traveling and not see the Commanders play, boy, am I glad it was this one. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, back from a mini hiatus. I was out with the ladies scoping out wedding venues successfully, and I load up my phone about halfway through Sunday. I see, oh, we're down 14-0. Oh, we're down 21-0. Oh, we lost 31-0. And with this being my first video back, it's time for me to talk about what do I think about what happened on that game. What do I think about Jayden Daniels, Dan Quinn, the future outlook, all of that stuff. So, guys, gather around. We are going to jump into a whole lot of stuff in today's video. I have been gone for the last few days, and I do apologize. I'm sure you guys can understand the significance of where I was at. But now that I'm back, make sure that you go to the comment section and leave me your thoughts on everything that happened last weekend, everything I'm going to say in this video, and everything that I'm not going to say. Anything that's on your mind that I don't address, go ahead down in the comment section. Make sure you put it there. Also, hit that like button. That is the #1 way you can support me. Hype button as well. That also helps. Anything you want to do, subscribe for daily videos now that all my trips are out of the way. And let's get into it. So I'm going to start by talking about what I thought of Jayden, because as we know, he was returning to the lineup after that elbow dislocation, I believe is what they ended up calling it, elbow dislocation. This is going to sound like I'm trying to defend my guy or our guy or anything like that, but genuinely thought Jayden was fine. I didn't think he was good. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think he was making hero plays. That should be evident. I don't think he was losing us the game or making a bunch of mistakes. Yeah, he wasn't fully sharp, and that's to be expected, right? The guy's been in and out of the lineup all season, different injuries. This was his first game back going against a really good defense. Had a couple of passes tipped at the line, missed outside on a quick out to Noah Brown. Had a couple of plays where he was just a quarter second slow. That back foot needed to hit the ground. The ball needed to come out for him to avoid the pressure. Overall, again, it was fine. Had some nice throws, nice plays. Didn't do anything crazy. Didn't do anything terrible. To me, and I have only watched Jayden's all 22, nothing else. I'm going to go back and do that later today, but I'm also trying to catch up on my 9 to 5, so I got other things on my plate. But going back and watching it, this seemed like a Kliff Kingsbury disaster class more than anything else. And that echoes a lot of what I heard. I asked the Discord, by the way, link to join the Full Command Discord at the top of the description in this video. I asked the Discord, what do you guys think? Can you summarize for me? I asked a couple of friends, just the general chatter online. Everybody seemed to be pointing to Kliff Kingsbury. And sometimes it's easy to scapegoat coordinators. Offense looks terrible. It's the OC's fault. Defense looks bad. It's the DC's fault. Having seen Jayden's all 22 again, this looked like this loss predominantly falls on the shoulders of Kliff Kingsbury. First and foremost, the protection plan was just terrible. There were free rushers all over the place. There was one 2 or 3 play stretch where we were empty against an overloaded front, and the Vikings had been generating pressure pretty much, I've said the vast majority of plays up to this point. So it's a team that's bringing pressure, has been successful bringing pressure with extra bodies up on the line of scrimmage in the box, and we're empty. That's very simple math. And again, whether it was a 2, 3 play stretch, whatever was the last play in that stretch, that period that I'm talking about, there was some slow developing route concepts. The majority of them, there was one, it was probably a 10-yard or so out. And then if you were hot, I think the read was supposed to go to Zach Ertz over the middle of the field. But all you got to do is you get pressure up the middle, and Jayden's not going to see that. And heads up, that's actually exactly what happened. I should say, spoiler alert, that is what happened. Jayden couldn't see his hot read, and there was nothing else available to him. So he just kind of hoofed it out of bounds, I believe. It was just, it was really bad. And I'm sure you guys know this because, again, I've seen a lot of people talking about this, but 3 straight passes at the 2-yard line, 3 straight incompletions, and not down to individual errors. Debo had a chance to make a play on the ball, but it required Jayden making a great throw to get it there in the first place, and it would have been a really good catch by Debo. The Vikings had that thing locked up. There were not players open. 3 straight passes. After, by the way, the drive started, or not the drive, the set of downs started at the 4-yard line. You run it, you're up to the 2. So if we just take what happened on that play and do it again, we get the 2 yards and we're in the end zone. Instead, we throw it 3 straight times, knowing that red zone offense is the hardest offense in all of football. Going back to training camp, all we heard from the reporters was the Commanders are hammering these red zone portions because the offense can't win in the red zone. That's what we heard all offseason. Hey, we're in week 14 now, and we're doing that with a quarterback who just got back to action. First time playing with these receivers and running backs. And I get it. Those are his top receivers, but those guys are coming back from injuries of their own. It seemed like a Kliff Kingsbury disaster class. Again, to finish this the way that I started it, go to the comments. Let me know your thoughts on that below. Thoughts on Kliff if he was at the most at fault for this loss. Now let's talk about Jayden's management, because as we all know, he came out of that game. And I got to say, as someone who was, again, out touring wedding venues, I was down there with me and my girl, I would go to the bathroom, and while I'm there, I'm looking for updates and stuff like that. And I open up Twitter and I see Jayden falling to the ground, crying, slamming his helmet on the cart. I'm thinking, my God, he broke the elbow or something, whatever. Didn't end up happening, but something happened. And that's what I knew at the time. So eventually I get to go back to my hotel room and I'm able to investigate what actually happened there. And even today, because right before I recorded this video, I listened to Dan Quinn's press conferences after the game and then yesterday. And even today, I'm still confused on to what's actually going on here. So DQ said that Jayden could have gone back into the game, but he chose to hold him out. Again, that's after seeing him crying, helmet, cart, all that stuff. And by the way, when we see Jayden crying, I'm sure that's mental frustration more than anything, because Jayden is tough as nails. I know me personally, I've had injuries before and they hurt, but I can remember one time where I was really, really crying. And it was because we had a game or a meet coming up. Obviously I ran, so it's a meet, not a game. We had a meet coming up. It was really big. It was our regional or state championships. I forget. I had broken my ankle a couple of times before, and I injured that same ankle. And I've started crying because of all that frustration. And I'm pretty sure that's what was happening to Jayden in this moment. But then DQ saying that he could have gone back out there makes it sound like, oh, it really wasn't that bad at all. So the way I see it, this is pretty simple. If you entered this game saying, hey, Jayden, yeah, your elbow might have been bending the wrong way just 3 weeks ago, but 4 weeks ago, however long it was, you are healthy enough to play professional football. We believe that these reps are important for your development, so therefore you are going to play. If that's the mindset, if that's the mentality entering this game, then when Jayden has a fall that is inconsequential to his health, right? It probably just hurt because I'm sure that area is sore. But if he could have gone back in, he did not injure anything, and he would not have been at an elevated chance of injury. That's what I'm getting from Dan Quinn saying that he could have gone back in. So if we believed these reps were developmental entering the game, at this point, Jayden still needs reps. He's still a young quarterback. Reps are still good for him. So if he's healthy, put him back out there. That's if we're being consistent. This is one thing I believe in. I believe in intellectual and logical consistency. Doesn't mean that someone is always right or someone is always wrong. I just believe in consistency. You have a plan, you have a thought process, you have something, you have some barometer, some metric, and you stick to it. This half-assed, figure it out as we go stuff is a danger, not only to Jayden, but to the team as a whole. Again, we need to have a plan, and we need to stick to it. If he was healthy and the plan was to play him, he doesn't have an elevated injury risk, he needs these reps for his development. Well, then after he takes that fall where he is still healthy and he's still at the same chance of injury he was before, and he still needs reps to develop, then you put him back out there. If that's not the case, if he is still injured, if he has at an elevated risk of injury, if these reps are not good for his development, then you shut him down for the year. You pick one and you stick to it. If you want my honest opinion, I truly think that Dan Quinn is feeling pressure from the public. And maybe it's Adam Peters is feeling pressure from the public, and that message was relayed to Dan Quinn. But I think what happened at the end of the Seattle game, with Jayden still being out on the field when we were losing by 31 points, when he had been hit more than he'd been pressured more than he'd ever been pressured in his NFL career, when he was taking the highest amount of hits per game of any NFL quarterback, because he got injured in that game, which was hopeless, lost in the fourth quarter. I think Dan Quinn is now, whoever's making these decisions is now a little bit scared because of the public backlash they got. And I make these videos because I want to put my opinions out there. We all have opinions. Most of the time, we want them to be heard. So I'm not even complaining that they are hearing the outside noise. My issue, again, is it is disrupting the plan, disrupting the consistency. Either Jayden's playing because he needs the reps and he's healthy, or he's not healthy. He doesn't need the reps, so you take him out. This is not a real-time decision. This is make a plan and stick to it. So now let's go big picture. Why did Dan Quinn victory lap a loss to the Broncos? Now, the performance was a lot better. That's not the issue here. We took a 10-2, I think that was the record at the time, 10-2 Broncos team to the final play of overtime with backups and guys just coming back from injuries. The performance was better. In my 5 names to remember, I had 1 yellow box and 4 greens. So I had a lot of positives to say because I'm going to be fair. There were a lot of positives. But there's such a thing as taking something too far. So when Dan Quinn goes up to the press conference, grabs the microphone and says, "We lost, but we're not lost anymore." That's victory lapping. That's victory lapping a loss. And we go from "we are not lost anymore" to losing 31-0 to a team that is 4-8. I think they were picking 8th or 9th in the draft entering that game. Of course, now they're picking later on because they have another win under the belt. How does "we lost, but we are not lost" age after a 31-0 loss to a bad team? His press conference yesterday, he said that he told the team, "We took 3 steps backward. None of it was acceptable." He's not wrong. He's obviously not wrong. But I'm beyond over this every week. Well, count the steps. Grab your pedometers, everybody, because we're taking 1 step this way, slide to the left, slide, crisscross. 1 step forward, 2 steps back, two to the left, 3 back, 1 forward, 2 forward, 3 back, 2 forward. It's every week. It's like we're playing hopscotch. The reality is we are 3-10, and we just got annihilated by a bad football team. And that is a reflection on Dan Quinn. How dare you say we are not lost after a loss and then lose 31-0 to a 4-8 football team with a quarterback who was the second, according to efficiency, was the second worst quarterback in the history of football minus Jamarcus Russell. Actually, this might have been since 2000. So since 2000, whatever I was looking at a couple of weeks ago. J.J. McCarthy was ranked 871st of 872 quarterbacks. So that was probably since 2000. Jamarcus Russell was 872. J.J. McCarthy was 871. We gave him a career-defining day. Credit to Grant Paulson for this. It's been 13 years since a team had an 8-game losing streak and lost at least 5 games by 21 or more points. Newsflash, there's still time for us to go here. We got 4 more games left. If we were looking at our season numbers, I would assume we win 1 of these 4. That's how it would play out. Probably going to have another loss by 21 plus points, so this could get worse. Scott Abraham, another reporter for the Commanders, I want to give him credit because I felt that he asked a very poignant question. He said, hey, Dan, the fan base is ticked off. What reassurances do you give them that this won't carry over into next season? And rather than take the opportunity to say something insightful, and I want to make this clear again, I have a lot of respect for Dan Quinn as a man. I really do. I just hate this answer, and I hate the answers he's given all year long. He said there's a lot to gain over the next 4 weeks. He said they're going to work hard to find the players, the places, and the spots for success, which is just nonsense coach speak. And if I had reason to believe that there was tangibly positive action going on behind the scenes, then I would say it right here. I would say he's giving us this coach speak because this is going to happen. This is what is going to happen. There have been far too many this is unacceptables. This is, we took 2 steps backwards, to use one of his favorite phrases this season, right? We didn't live up to the standards, with things like that. I've heard it now 15, 20 times, it feels like, already this season. Probably a whole lot more than that, because I'm sure he says it 3-4 times a week basically now. So rather than saying, you know what, it's time, we are buying into the youth. Guys are playing for their jobs. We're going to have to evaluate an awful lot in this offseason. Even just being honest, and when you say the performance was unacceptable, yeah, that's true, but we all know that. How about just saying how to say that is embarrassing? As professional athletes, as coaches and leaders of professional athletes, this is embarrassing. That's where we are at. I thought I had a beat on where we are. I was completely wrong. This is not betting advice, YouTube. Got to say that just so they know. In my humble opinion, betting odds are the greatest indicators of everything. Don't know if you're following what's going on with prediction markets and stuff like that, but Kalshi and all these other places, they're forming partnerships with the news companies. Bottom line, people are catching on. Betting companies, operators make millions and billions of dollars. So when it comes to predictions, they are going to have them more accurate than anywhere else, because just like anything else in life, you follow the money, and there is huge money in these industries. So I'm saying all this to say, just smacked my desk. I'm saying all this to say, the Commanders, you want to know how bad they are? You want to know the reality of the situation right now? We are 2 to 2.5 point underdogs, not favorites, underdogs against the Giants this week. If the season ended today, the Giants would be picking first in the NFL draft. So right now, the Commanders are 2 to 2.5 points worse than the worst team in the NFL. That is what those billion-dollar companies are telling you. And for a team that was 1 game away from being in the conference championship last year, that is flat out pathetic. This is a sobering reality of how bad the players are, how bad the coaches are, how bad everything inside of that locker room is right now. So for anybody having these debates about the NFL draft, who do the Commanders need? Who do we take? How do we save the team? I'm a little bit over it. You guys still know my opinion. I think we draft defense early and often. I wouldn't be opposed to every draft pick being on defense. You guys know who my guys are. I got 3 of them: Ruben Bain, Orville Reese, and Caleb Downs. I think you got to draft one of those guys first. But we're almost at the point where it just doesn't matter anymore. If you are 2 to 2.5 points worse than the team picking first in the draft, then you need help everywhere. And we do. And tight end, which maybe we could have brought Zach Ertz back on a 1-year deal if we couldn't figure out a young replacement, that's out the window. And Zach Ertz, dude, that's horrible. If that's how his career ends, that's just devastating. But Zach Ertz is done. So tight end's now a huge hole. You've got your quarterback. You're going to run with this offensive line at the very least. It's open season on everything else. Free agency, draft, it all needs to be improved. It all needs to get better. So, first video back. Like I said, I got no more plans going on. We found the venue that we want, so those plans are gone. I will be traveling for the holidays, but I'm still going to be recording every day, so you guys don't have to worry about that. But guys, that is going to do it for the end of this video. Again, make sure that you do hit the like button and the hype button. That helps out a lot. Also, subscribe if you are new around here. And most importantly, go to the comment section, leave me your thoughts on everything that is going on right now in Commander's world. So I'm head on out of here. I appreciate you all joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.